Time Chasers, or I suppose as it's officially called, Tangents. This is a movie that was featured on Mystery Science Theater 3000, but interestingly enough, I actually think it's not that bad. As a movie, it's certainly not a good movie. It's definitely like a B movie sort of sci-fi flick, specifically a time travel flick. But it's watchable. I think it was actually this is one of the very few movies they ever did in the MST3K run that was actually made in the 1990s. In the riff itself, which is a pretty well-regarded one, most of the jokes are aimed at the fact that the futuristic dystopia that they go forward to is not very convincing. It's pretty poorly done, but then again, that's just having a small budget, really. They were doing what they could with what they had. And their lead actor just kind of looks a bit dweeby. He's a physics professor in the story who also, flies airplanes. There are a lot of airplanes in this movie. And yeah, he looks, kind of dweeby. He's got sort of that early 90s mullety hairstyle and has glasses and all. He's not certainly not your typical protagonist, but overall I didn't think he did a horrible job. The people that play the sort of corporate villain characters aren't too bad. I think the primary villain, who's the CEO of a government corporation that tries to, I suppose, weaponize the developed time machine, does an okay job. I've never seen the movie Unriff, though. That might actually change my perception of it significantly. But overall, there's a sort of kind of forced love story that's sort of depending on how you look at it, the A plot or the B plot. But yeah, basically this scientist guy has developed a time machine that he has built into his airplane. He then decides to call his friend, who is somehow part of this, I suppose it's a sort of a government weapon contractor or something like that. Something like a Lockheed, I guess. And he calls a local reporter to come out to, what he explains is he's going to take his grandma skydiving to, I don't know, get the reporter there. And he tells the contractor person something equally kind of boring, but enough to get him there. And then puts them in the plane and takes them to the future and says, hey, look, it's a time machine. And they're both blown away. And, of course, the corporate guy takes it to his boss, and things go awry. They try to take it over. That's sort of the plot that's going on here. Bit of a forced romance between the reporter and the time traveler physics guy. And predictably things go awry as the, time travel machine is predictably weaponized and all. Something they do mention that never comes back, particularly at any point, is that the bad guys build their own time machine after they learn how to do it, but that time machine is never shown. As far as I remember, it's just mentioned as a way to plug up a plot hole, which is pretty lazy. I mean, I would have liked to see a battle between the two time machines. I mean, who wouldn't? It would be a time machine dogfight. Alas, no dice. Yeah, this is a good enough riff to watch. If I can find it unriffed, I'll give it a shot. This is, one of the better, more watchable, more competently made movies that I've seen on this list. The one reservation is it was clearly a low-budget affair, and that comes out in the movie. A mixture between there's kind of, really early 90s computer effects when they're actually physically traveling in time, kind of like the Doctor Who Vortex, except it's like grid patterns. But even then, it doesn't look any worse than Lawnmower Man 2's effects. And that was had to be a much higher budget movie than this. I guess I'm a little forgiving just because this is clearly a low budget sort of affair, and it had an interesting enough idea to run with. I think the only other thing is the climax takes place in 1777. They go back and wind up encountering who are clearly just reenactors. The whole thing's filmed in Vermont, which is just all kinds of inspiring, isn't it? So they run into... Clearly they just hired a bunch of, reenactors locally. But, yeah, they wind up in the middle of a battle between, redcoats and colonials and shenanigans. There's an Uzi involved. And somehow that doesn't ruin the past. But, yeah, it's a little cheesy at times, but, hell, they made a movie. They made a movie that's watchable enough on a minimal budget. I can't hate them for it. There's nothing in it that just made me, want to scream at it or anything. It's not excessively, numb in the sort of plot or writing or dialogue. The dialogue's not good and the acting's not good, but it's not... I guess it's just not overly distracting. Whatever. I'd actually recommend... This is a riff I can recommend. I recommend most of them, but this one is in particular because the movie's watchable. It's easy enough to follow along with. So, yeah, that's Tangents, or Time Chasers.
Wait a minute, this isn't our star, is it? I will not accept this as our star. Sorry.
Oh, no.
Marv, hey, it's me and I'm nude.
Sure.
Sure, I'm an unappealing actor in a bad movie. Sure.
And she's going to try skydiving for the very first time.
It's not going to go too well, if you know what I mean.
Hi, I'm Bob Evil.
Yes, an exciting career in aviation awaits you at Time Chasers Community College.
See you in an hour.
I'll be the guy sitting at the desk in the mall Skyway.
So, the guy's office is in a branch library?
You Castleton snob.
Look. So, why the big circus mirror?
I'm gonna squint the hell out of them.
I'm going to facilitate connectivity.
For Castleton!
10, 9, 8, 7.
Hey, is that a Glock?
7, 6, 5, 4.
Morning. Transport.safe.
Thanks, Stephen Hawkins.
0, 4, 3, 2, 1. Is it 3, 2, 1, 2, 1.